Coming up on today's show, PlayStation revealed their new subscriptions, Breath of the Wild 2 is officially delayed, and Isla Hinck is here. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I am Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Brittany Brombacher.
When am I going to learn not to take the first sip of whiskey while you're doing the intro? I'm trying to keep a straight face. My mouth is on fire. My eyes are watering. I am salivating. But hello, hi, I'm here.
So you're saying I'm going to have another gifable moment from this show?
Oh, God. Yes, you will.
Wonderful. And joining us from Easy Allies, the new co-head, is Isla Hinck.
Hi.
It's so good to finally have you on the show. I reached out to you after I was talking behind your back with Brandon Jones. All good things, mind you.
Well, I hope not.
Because if people aren't following Easy Allies, Brandon announced that he is officially retiring, and that means that, Isla, you've been promoted. Are you sweating it, or you're like, I was born for this job?
It's kind of a funny thing because we're pseudo-egalitarian. Not agrarian, that's farming. Egalitarian. But we all kind of had worked together at Game Trailers before, so we sort of just fell into our old roles, even though on paper we were even. So Jones was the boss kind of de facto, and this was a good excuse for us to be like, let's actually solidify a structure so we can have someone who can be like, this is what we're doing, and we're doing it right now, instead of let's wait 2 months for the quarterly meeting to decide what we want to do, you know. But yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can only imagine with the sheer amount of content that you and the team are kicking out all the time. I remember when you guys launched your Patreon, which, by the way, we'll have all of Isla's links in the show notes if you guys want to go and follow her and support Easy Allies, of course.
Please do.
I was just... Brittany and I are like, let's just start with one show a week and see how it goes. And meanwhile, dude, you guys are like, let's do 25 shows a week.
You had the right idea. We are jealous. We are jealous. Because actually, like, when Blood and I were coming up with stuff, because we just had our anniversary event, which is when we do big changes, big announcements, stuff like that. And I was looking through, you know, you guys and MinMax and Kind of Funny and, like, other people's Patreons. And I was always just like, oh, man, like... We kind of bit off. We didn't bite off more than we could chew. We can chew it, but like we were trying to be what we used to be at Game Trailers, right? And that was a lot of stuff.
So much stuff.
So I'm jealous of people who just kind of were like, "Let's do a podcast."
You guys can walk it back. You know, it's not too late.
Well, now we're kind of doing a thing where it's like Blood says follow the passion, right? So if we're not enjoying it, we'll kill it. Which has kind of been how we've been doing it for a while, but it's been working. We're doing okay. And the nice thing is there are a lot of us.
I was going to say, how many are on the team now?
If Jones is still here until May, but 8 right now.
Okay.
And Jones is going to be leaving, and we're going to be hiring a community manager. And the kind of, I don't know, company ethos or whatever over here is that we all just get paid the same. So there'll just be another... eighth. So 8.
8.
Long answer for a simple 8.
It's always fun to know how the things work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Just little Andrea and I, 2 of us, keeping our heads above water.
I mean, I love it.
Doing the best that we can. And, you know, we thank everybody who, you know, supports us along the way, like this month's Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, David Iacolucci, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Matthew Goderre, and Punkdefied. And welcome to our Patreon community, Price Collins. You can, of course, support What's Good Games at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. But if you don't have a couple bucks to throw our way, you, of course, can support us with a couple minutes of your time by leaving What's Good Games a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. The rankings really help us and help new people find us. So if you guys have not yet left a review, maybe you want to take a couple minutes to do so. And big thank yous to everybody who has gone out of their way. As Brittany always says, it leaves us warm and fuzzies inside, going and reading those lovely reviews you guys leave of the show. So we do have quite a bit of big news to get to, and of course we want to talk to Isla about everything she's got going on over at EZA and everything else. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this giant PlayStation news. Or is it giant? Question mark?
It begins.
Brittany, what did PlayStation write over at the PlayStation blog?
Well, Jim Ryan wrote the following, ladies. We are pleased to share with you official news about changes to our subscription services. We've been knowing this has been happening. We were just kind of anticipating last week. All of the insider folks were like, yo, this is totally happening next week. And the plebes like us who didn't know it was happening this week were like, okay, we'll just listen to you. And lo and behold, they were correct. So yes, they have overhauled PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. This goes in effect in June. And so here is what we have. Base tier is PlayStation Plus Essential, and here are your benefits. It's the same benefits that PlayStation Plus members are getting today. So that is your 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saved games, online multiplayer access. And there are no changes to existing PlayStation Plus members in this tier. And that will be for $9.99 monthly. Sorry, I'm only using the US American dollar for these comparisons because they gave like 4 different ones and we'd be here all day reading them. So $9.99 a month gets you that. Now, if you're like, I want to beef it up a little bit, what's the next tier? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can then subscribe to PlayStation Plus Extra. And this gets you all of the benefits from the Essential tier, the last one I read. And it adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation catalog and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play, and this will run you $14.99 a month. But if you are a big baller shot caller and you're like, oh no, I want to spend some money, more money than that. I was going to say waste money, but I don't want to make people mad. You can get the PlayStation Plus Premium, which has two asterisks next to it. And this gets you all of the benefits from Essential and the Extra tiers, and it adds up to 340 additional games, including PlayStation 3 games that are available via cloud streaming, a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download from the original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP generations. It offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the Extra premium tiers and those are asterisks. Okay, and it also includes time-limited game trials. So if you want to play a demo, you got to make sure you're subscribed to this PlayStation Plus Premium tier. And that will run you $17.99 a month. And now that I've gone through all those, I do want to briefly go over the annual cost of all of these. Okay, so the PlayStation Plus Essential is $59.99 a year. The PlayStation Plus Extra is $99.99 a year. And the PlayStation Plus Premium is $119.99 a year. So there you go. Your 3 tiers. Choose your path.
Isla, what was your immediate reaction when you saw this news go out?
Well, it's funny because, like, I love how vague they are about it, where it's like
most enjoyable.
Right, of most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games. I'm like, according to who? And then, like, they hope to include, things. And it's just like, the thing that really stuck out to me at first was like, okay, I don't need this because I already don't subscribe to PlayStation Now. And so that's fine. But then I was like, but if it works like Game Pass, where I'm going to get first-party stuff right off the bat, maybe it's worth it. But then Jim Ryan clarified, which I think we'll talk about in a second. But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's really good, I think, if you're into, like, if you want to play PS3 games, PS2, PS1 games, like, if they put Final Fantasy Tactics on here, I'll reconsider. But, like... Yeah, I don't know.
I think that a lot of people are looking at this news going, who is this for exactly? Right. And the tweet that I had put out was that this feels more of a convenience than a value, whereas Game Pass clearly feels like a value and a convenience, right? And so I think PlayStation is clearly coming at this with saying, hey, listen, we've got these 2 subscriptions and it's awkward for us. It's awkward for you. We just want to combine them together, but we don't really want to give you anything that much extra. So we're just going to kind of figure out a way to make PlayStation Now shoehorn into PlayStation Plus, but we have really no desire to make a competitor to Game Pass. And that, I think, is what Jim Ryan, expanded on. I mean, he obviously didn't say that. I don't want to put words into his mouth, of course, but essentially...
He did say that.
Essentially, what he did say, according to the GamesIndustry.biz article, was, we feel like we are in a good virtuous cycle with the studios where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We like that cycle, and we think our gamers like that cycle.
Oh my God. Listen,
Love
Jim
it.
Ryan, I'm sure a fantastic human. But the stuff that comes out of his mouth sometimes, I think about when there was that whole crossplay fiasco going
Oh
on.
my
And remember, he
goodness.
was like, but the
Yeah.
children, we can't protect our PlayStation children from the evil folks at Xbox. And I was like, okay, come on. Like, it's such a bullshit excuse. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. I mean, I do
love that corporate newspeak. It's like, oh, I live for
And
it. These press
he's-
releases and interviews, I'm always just like, oh, say nothing.
He's
Say
so
nothing
bad at
more.
it too. Yeah, no,
Yes.
like Britt, that's such a good point. Like, I feel like of all the PlayStation executives that have been wildly taken out of context or like spoken out of turn, Jim Ryan is at the top of the list over the years. And he goes on to say, the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever. Who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IP being published on PC? So I don't want to cast anything in stone at this stage. All I'm talking to today is the approach we're taking in the short term. And so I think that what he's saying is like, this is the solution we came up with right now, and we may change our minds about it later. But I don't think that as long as he's in charge that they're going to change their minds about putting day and date first party in. And a lot of people flocked to my thread online to quickly tell me, as if I didn't know, that PlayStation first party games sell very well. And I was like, yeah,
Oh.
It's true.
cool.
Wow.
Thanks, bro, for letting me know.
But that's kind of the weird thing about this, right? Is like they're gonna bill you twice, kinda.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna buy Returnal when it comes out, and then 9 months later it'll be on the premium or whatever. Maybe if it's a what was it? High quality.
Most
whatever they-
enjoyable.
Most,
So,
yeah, if
yeah, so-
Returnal is most enjoyable, you'll get it later. But yeah.
So speaking on Returnal, yeah, I should clarify too. At launch for extra and premium tiers, in titles such as Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal will be included.
Right.
So there you are. But you're right. Like I see what, yeah, it's, it feels like you said, Andrew, more of a convenience than more of a convenience than a direct response to Game Pass. I think regardless if Game Pass existed or not, this was going to happen. They needed to consolidate. These two services were just kind of weird. And for your average Joe Schmo, I think they would probably get confused. What is a PlayStation Now? In fact, I think of my grandma, bless her heart, who's 82 years old. She loves video games. And I always have to try to explain to her what all these different subscription services are. For her benefit, I know which one she's going to want, which is going to be the PlayStation Plus Premium, because she lives for all of those old classic games. And normally I would say that's what I would play as well. But the problem is, like, we don't know. That's what I would subscribe to as well. But we don't know what games are being added yet. So like you're saying, Isla, like who chooses like what the best games are from the past generations? And so it's hard for me to even like say I want to subscribe to anything beyond essential at this point.
Yeah, no, so Whiskey Jack wrote in with a question that says, with this week's PS Plus announcement, we've learned that we will be able to not only stream, but also download PS1, PS2, and PSP games on our PS5. This is great news, but I highly doubt I will ever pay the price for that premium tier. What I would really like, however, is the possibility to buy the games I want to play. Tactics Ogre, is that the name of the game? And
Tactics Ogre is
and
one,
then FFTZ, Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions.
Yeah.
What's stopping the Sony from making them available for purchase? The model they propose looks a lot more like Nintendo Online Expansion Pack than Game Pass to me. And I think the first thing that comes to mind, Whiskey, is there's got to be publishing agreement restrictions that date back quite a ways. And also, don't forget, Sony kind of screwed themselves with the way that they designed their hardware architecture, so they can't easily make games backwards compatible the way Xbox can. It actually takes quite a bit of technical work to get some of those games backwards compatible, which is why I'm sure they're locking it behind a premium tier to kind of offset the difficulty in bringing them. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like the market for people who want backwards compatibility to play PS1 and PS2 games on their PS5 is super small. Because there's just so many new games coming out every week. Like, why would you want to pay this premium tier to play maybe 1 or 2 games?
Yeah.
And
you think this...
Oh, go ahead.
No, please do. You're the guest.
Well, I was trying to find... I mean, you said exactly what I was going to say. It's like, I don't know how big the market for backwards compatibility and classic titles, I don't know how big that market is. Because that, to me, is the only value here. And, of course, they put their bangers in the most expensive tier, right? The PlayStation Classics, the PS2. Like, I loved the days of the PlayStation Classics on the PS3 market where, you could just buy the ones you wanted and then have it. And I was trying to find the exact language in here because somewhere in here they said, and they tried to spin it like it's a good thing, but they said, like, the catalog will be refreshed, or like an ever-refreshing catalog, which sounds cool at first until you're like, oh, that means stuff's going to go away and other stuff's going to come in. And it's like, okay, what happens to a title you downloaded through your premium subscription?
You can't
that
download
gets rotated
them.
Out.
It's streaming only for those older games, which is like
is
like the big rub. I think a lot of people mentioned when they first saw this news, they're like, it's also not comparable to Game Pass in that way that these older games you have to stream, you can't download them. So it's like, well, once they're gone from the subscription, you can't play them anymore.
So the bullet above that says...
4 and 5 are downloadable, but everything else is streamable?
Well, it says a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations. So it sounds like you don't know.
And then cloud streaming for other ones. Yeah, right?
It's a toss-up.
And then, like, if one gets rotated out that you were able to download, can you still play it? Or does it get deactivated? Obviously, the streaming ones would just go away, but like...
Yeah, that's such a huge frustration. And I've talked about this on the show. One of my favorite things to do, Isla, is walk on the treadmill and play classic video games. It's just like a fun way for me to pass the time and revisit some of my old favorites or play games like I never had before. Like, I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time on my treadmill maybe like 5 years ago. And it was lovely. And I lost a few pounds doing it too. And so what's been frustrating for me, though, is when I do have the itch to play some of those old PlayStation Classics or PlayStation 2 Classics, because some of my favorite games are from those generations, I have to, like, go online and feel, okay, like, where's Twisted Metal 2? Like, on which PlayStation can I play Twisted Metal 2? Is it PlayStation? Is it PlayStation 3? Can I download it from there? It's not on PlayStation 4. Do I get it on PlayStation? So it's like this whole confusing thing. And I know Sony's not the only person, Nintendo company, rather, that's really bad at this. But I just wish it was like Whiskey Jack said, where you can just purchase these games outright. And now with the technology we have, they just travel with you throughout the generations. But instead, it's this super like convoluted thing of, I bought a game on PlayStation 3 back in the day, and now I don't know which consoles I can play it on, which consoles support it. And so I don't know. Like, so for me, as someone who does like playing those retro games, I wish this would have been included in the essential or even the PlayStation Plus extra tier, because I feel like that's where you kind of start really feeling like it could be a value add. You do have access to these games, but to put them in the most expensive tier on top of putting your what they're calling time limited game trials, aka demos, in the most expensive tier, I don't know. I don't like it.
Putting the demos in the most expensive tier sounds such a weird decision to me. Like, put the demos in the cheap tier. Like, get more people to sign up for PlayStation Plus. Like, why not?
It's classic PlayStation wording, right? Because it's like, are those demos in the traditional sense, or is it like their answer to Steam's 2-hour refund policy, right? Like, can I get a first-party day and date game, play it for 2 hours, and then decide to buy it or not? Like, if that's what that is, that's maybe good. If it's just you get the demos that you used to get for free, that's horrible. So it's just like, be more clear, please. I the one thing with the streaming and the because their marketplace hasn't been great, like, organizationally.
No.
I think it would be really fun if Premium, for example, was like had like a curated section. Maybe like one section, for example, could be like hard to find gems, like Kuan, or like these really old like FromSoft games that cost like $300, or Suikoden 2 or whatever, where it's hard to get your hands on it. And it's on here, you know, that would be a value added because obviously they're hard to get, but it would be curated in an interesting way because the value would be discovery. Because otherwise, I was thinking about the value here, and it's like, okay, unless you're really patient on the first party stuff that comes in later, which costs $70. What if you play Final Fantasy Tactics, Suikoden, and Symphony of the Night, right? You paid $120 a year for 3 retro games. It's like, how many games do you have to play for this to be worth the money? A lot, I feel like.
Yeah, unless you buy the original hard copies of those games, and then,
Or you already own them, which, let's be honest, if you're a Sony pony like a lot of people are, you probably already have them, right? So, like, that's what some people also said when they were responding to my tweet, they're saying, like, hey, I already own the games that they're proposing. So this really is only probably appealing to people who weren't in the Sony ecosystem back in the PS1 and PS2 era. But it's like, that I feel like that market is small. Again, like the amount of people who weren't that would want to go back and pay for a subscription service like this is like a very small group of people who are like, I went Xbox only in the original generation. It's like, wait, who did that?
Right. Like, who's fiending for PS2 content that's not looking back nostalgically on PS2 content? Like, I'm sure that there's a market share, but not huge.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just want Breath of Fire 3. Please put Breath of Fire 3 on this. I will pay your premium stupid $120 a year if you just give me it.
Okay, well, you've heard it here, Sony. She's throwing down the gauntlet.
Throw in Legend of Legaia while you're at it. Thank you.
Okay, so now she's getting greedy. Do you have any other demands you would like to throw on top of this?
Legend of Mana. That would be fun. Throw in Breath of Fire 4, because that's a good one. I need to spend more time with that one. Yeah, I mean, listen, I could go on, Andrea. So, obviously, Resident Evil will be on there, so we don't have to worry about that one. That'll be there. Yeah, it's just.
But I mean, who's gonna buy in on this without first seeing the catalog? Like,
well, that's it. Ooh,
I'm not gonna think about this at all until I look at the games and be like, okay, I want to play those 5, so I'll try it.
And it's like that thing of Nintendo. I keep going back to Nintendo and their online catalog. Like, what are you guys thinking half the time? Like, with the games that you're offering, and that's kind of the thing is, like, obviously their price entry is way more accessible, way cheaper, but like, you wonder, like, where are they going? Like, why are they adding the games that they're adding? They just added Earthbound, for the love of God. And so it's like, okay, what games are you going to add to this premium tier? And are they even going to be worth it? Are you in tune with your audience, Sony? Do you know what we want? Hit me up for consulting. I'll tell you.
Hit her up for consulting. I love it.
The Nintendo one is so funny because it's like, okay, so we didn't charge enough up front, and now we wanted to add N64, but it was too much of a pain in the butt to do for $20 a year. So we're going to invent this new thing, and we'll throw on DLC for a bunch of games, theoretically, going forward. And it's like, it's such a Nintendo way to do it. I heard Nintendo recently described as a monkey's paw, because they'll give you what you want, but not the way you want it. And I think that's so right.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And they're definitely taking a leaflet out of their little flyer for this one with the putting the old stuff in the top tier. Like,
well, speaking of Nintendo, I'm glad that y'all have been bringing it up. Let's just go ahead and transition into the next story, because this is not unexpected, but I think still a little bit of a bummer news for fans who were hoping this game was coming. So The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 has been officially delayed until spring 2023. The write-up comes from IGN, but apparently we get a tiny piece of footage in return. And Brittany, you told me that you were going to geek out about this. So do you want to read this story while I get the footage ready?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just read it and cry while we do it. All right. So the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has been delayed to spring 2023. Like Andrea said, tiny piece of footage, which she's pulling up on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. Please subscribe, please and thanks. All right, series producer Aonuma announced and apologized for the delay in a video, saying, quote, in order to make this game's experience something special, the entire development team is continuing to work diligently on this game, so please wait a little longer. No reason was given for the delay. He described a little about the game amid the announcement, saying, quote, as previously announced, the adventure in this sequel will take place not just on the ground as in the previous game, but also in the skies above. However, the expanded world goes beyond that. And there will even be a wider variety of features you can enjoy, including new encounters and new gameplay elements. Most of that was backed by footage we'd seen before, but one extra bit of footage has been added, showing a closer look at the new tattooed Link, who's that? We've previously glimpsed, and what seems to be a corrupted or broken version of the Master Sword. Okay,
Yeah, the sword looked crazy.
Are you a big Zelda fan?
I played Twilight Princess and then I devoured Breath of the Wild. So
Yay!
I'm on board now. Yeah, I love I was not a Nintendo kid. I was a PlayStation kid.
Okay.
So I never had a 64 or a GameCube.
Wait,
I got
never?
It on the Wii. I borrowed a friend's GameCube to play Resident Evil 4.
Nice. There you go. So there are I melted my brain, ladies, trying to read every single fan theory that was out there, and I got way too overwhelmed. I started like breathing really like quick and heavy, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. And I went outside and got some. I touched some grass as the cool kids call it, because there is so much here. And so I guess like for you, what's your takeaway from this new footage? Like, what does the corrupted Master Sword mean? What's up with Link's arm? Is it even his arm? Like, what are your theories?
Yeah, it seems like his arm has been corrupted as well. I assume that because in the early footage that we saw like Skeleton Ganon or Ganondorf or whoever that is, and I'm wondering if he like tries to fight him at first and it's just isn't enough. Master Sword isn't enough, and it like corrupts his arm and breaks the sword, and then like that's the first half of the journey is like getting his power back or something like that. Still holding out hope you get to play as Zelda for parts of this, but
I know.
Who knows?
Me too. Yeah, I have so many wackadoodle theories written down. And so I don't even know where to begin. Yeah, so when you look at Link's arm, like right here, for example, you can see all of these like black grayish markings, like starting out all over his arm, which is obviously where the bangle is adhered to. And if you look in the very first trailer from 2019, like you said, there's like this white, almost like it looks scary, but it's white. And so it's glowing. It's almost like an angelic, like something pure is trying to keep Ganon down, but all this like malice is like oozing from his body. So it's clearly failing. And I think that's why Zelda and Link are exploring, right? They're like, yo, what the fuck's going on? We thought we saved the world. Why is shit hitting the fan? Oh, it's because Ganon's like resurrecting and oozing his gross Ganon jizz everywhere. I don't know. And so you have like this arm on him that's like trying to like hold him down. And if you look at the arm, you can see like the bangle or whatever is on that arm. And eventually that's the thing that gets attached to Link. And so you have these markings, right? And then you have the bangle. My kind of theory is that his arm is corrupted and also being protected by, this is one of my theories. Sorry, I have like 18. It's also corrupted.
Hope you have enough time to go through them all.
oh, no, girl. We'll be here all night. We can't do that. Anyway, because if you look how it's like going down his chest and his waist, I'm like, okay, so the corruption is spreading, but the only thing that's keeping him from not like keeling over is the bangle that's on his arm, because that was the thing that was holding Ganon down. So I'm just assuming it was good and pure. Also, if you look at the sword, it's all like fucked up from the tip down. That's what she said. But then from like the hilt up where Link's arm, where Link holds it, it's starting to like heal itself and repair itself, right? So I'm wondering, like you were saying, Isla, like part of the journey, and I'm assuming a big part of that journey will be cleansing yourself and cleansing the Master Sword. And then from there, you can get real deep and real like nitty gritty in the weeds and talk about, okay, is this Fi from Skyward Sword? Is this, or Fi, whatever, is she back in the sword? There's some hints from Breath of the Wild that kind of like lead you to believe that she is. And so is she a part of this game? And then there are some other theories that if you look at Link's arm, when he's grabbing the sword out of the back, the sheath, if you will, you can see that it's all like pointy fingernails and there's some rings on the hand. And if you look at that very first trailer from 2019, which is still Ganon's hand at that point, it's all like dark and has long fingernails and there's rings on it. So you look at that, right? And you're like, okay, wait. So is this Ganon's arm? Like, yeah. So we're watching right now on youtube.com/what's
He's like half Ganon.
Is he? Yeah, like, is he Ganon? Like, who could say? Is this Ganon's arm and the bangle is the only thing, like, keeping them at bay? Like, I don't know. There's just so many things. I'm pretty convinced that there is going to be some sort of time travel in this game. That's something that Zelda games have always, not always, but they've done a lot of. If it's not time travel, it's like universe travel, alternate universes and shit. Because if you look like at Link, so there's the hand I was talking about, there's the bangle.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see the hand right there. It was like all twitchy and gross.
Yeah, it grabbed him too. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you watch the footage, it shows Link falling like from who knows where, but he's wearing garb that's not typical of the Hyrule in this Breath of the Wild. So you're like, okay, that's weird. And his hair's down. And so I'm wondering, because this is where we get started really weird. I'm almost done, I promise. You look at the Zonai tribe, which is this prehistoric clan that has essentially been vanished since the time Breath of the Wild comes out. So Zonai, Zonai. And it's this like barbaric tribe of whatnot. And so I'm wondering, because if you look at some of the tie-ins in Breath of the Wild, they're mentioned, they're in charge, not in charge, they created all the labyrinths, for example, in Breath of the Wild. And I feel like to throw that little tidbit of knowledge in there for no reason, that piece of lore, and we don't get a lot of lore in Zelda games, to throw that kind of lore in there in Breath of the Wild and just kind of like leave it be, just doesn't set well with me. So I'm wondering if this bangle is from that Zonai tribe, and that is what is keeping Ganon like, you know, in his fucking place underneath the castle. And maybe when there's some sort of time travel where he goes back in that time, because this game came out in 2017. You can't tell me. And if they were reusing every single asset in that game, it does not take, what year are we in, 2022? 5-6 years by the time it comes out to like recreate all new assets.
Well, who is accusing them of reusing all the same assets?
Well, that was kind of like the fan theory, right? It's like they're just going to probably reuse the Hyrule field that had been created for Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2, which is why when this game was originally supposed to come out, was it 2021? It was supposed to come out originally, I feel like, or maybe
that sounds right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty short turnaround time, especially for a Zelda game. It's like, well, of course it's not going to take as long because they can just kind of use the same map they have. Now, we do know they're adding some like islands in the sky and shit. But my other theory, and this is me getting way too excited, and I'm going to be let down so hard, and I fully acknowledge
like deep in the Zelda weeds right now.
You opened the floodgates.
It's my fault.
Is that they are creating, again, they're rehashing the Hyrule assets from Breath of the Wild for an alternate world, maybe like prehistoric time when this tribe existed. And that's just my hopes and dreams. I love that shit. I love how in Ocarina of Time you had like the future, and then you had the present, and Link to the Past, you had the light world, you had the dark world, the Majora's Mask, you had like the time travel element. Oh my god.
Well, and the power in this that looks like stasis, but then it rewinds the metal ball that like goes back up the hill. So like, there's a time power.
Yeah.
Shown in the trailer. Also, you made me think like collecting heart pieces and stamina pieces, like getting pieces or parts or cleansing the Master Sword would be another thing you're like searching for. That'd be fun.
Oh, I just
man, I hope we go back in time. That'd be awesome. I would.
Yeah, maybe if we go back in time, and maybe that's where like there's dungeons and like heart pieces to collect, and some of the old school shit that I personally just really missed from Breath of the Wild. So,
well, they're going underground, so I feel like they have to be dungeons, like traditional dungeons in this one. Yeah.
Oh
like,
God, I hope so.
If they were listening to their audience at all, I think that was like the big thing. Like hardcore fans of the franchise, all kind of universally were like, "Hey, this game is great. You did a lot of really cool, innovative, new stuff." But we really love Zelda because of the dungeons. Where are they?
Also, if y'all played Age of Calamity, you would have a better idea of the time travel potential. That's all I'm gonna say.
But that was, I mean, okay, here's the thing.
An hour of it.
I'm really glad that you really loved Age of Calamity. I think that's a big ask considering just how different the style of gameplay is.
Oh, absolutely.
For that game, like there's, I think, legions of Zelda fans who probably didn't even know that game came out.
Well, if you are one of those Zelda fans, absolutely play it. If not, just go watch a YouTube story video. That includes you, Isla. Because there's some shit in there that you're like, oh, fuck, this kind of changes everything. And it's a big deal. And so it's kind of odd that they decided to like put that in Age of Calamity. But hey, like you said, Nintendo's going to do cartwheels in their own universe. And that's exactly what they did. Oh, I'm excited.
This was a lot more than I anticipated from this delay announcement, but I'm happy that you're happy. There was a question from Nova that said, "Hey there, Britt, Andrea, I'm workshopping over here. With Breath of the Wild 2 pushed into next year, do you think this means we might finally get ports of their older games we haven't gotten yet, like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, to hold fans over? Thanks for everything. Well, thank you, Nova, for writing in.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo does like to re-release their shit.
And
They know
recharge
we're going to
you.
pay for it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They're like, have you bought this game
price.
5 times already? You want to buy it again?
Yes, sir.
And the
Yes,
answer is
master.
always yes.
Yes. Thank you, please. May I have another? Absolutely.
But realistically, do you think that ports are in the forefront of their minds right now? Or do you think that they're focused on new games and other projects?
I mean, I think Nintendo knows, based off of that nice fat bank account they have, that if they put ports out, we're going to buy it. So I think they would be silly to not have teams working on that, right? Despite what they're working on right now. So yeah, like I don't know why they wouldn't. It's not like they're putting GameCube games on their little online service yet. So I guess
And we
the
haven't
only way
gotten
of
the
getting
mini
it-
classic edition GameCube or N64 that I think we all were hoping for. I was personally hoping for the mini N64. And then
Me too.
and then it just never happened.
Nope.
I
never
did see a
happened.
recent rumor about a mini GameCube, but
Really?
those are never true. I don't know.
Oh, I know, guy.
We're like, where did you see it?
Yeah, where did you
Details.
see that rumor? I don't remember. But the nice thing with Nintendo ports is that I feel like they can crop up at any time because I wouldn't ever accuse them of being maximum effort. So, it's not like they're pulling a Capcom and like remaking the game in RE Engine or something. They're just like, it runs on this now. And the fog is broken. Go.
Oh
you
man,
know?
wasn't that a big bummer? That was a big
Yeah.
bummer. They fixed it finally, but I still don't think
Yeah.
they fixed button mapping. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, I'm surprised they fixed it, honestly, because like
Me too.
they don't need to, like, we'll buy it anyway. We're a bunch of
Absolutely.
morons.
We are. Absolutely we are.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Well, no, you're right. We just are.
Yeah,
we're just
okay.
morons. All right, enough Zelda. We do have a couple more news items to get to. One Piece Odyssey is a new RPG being developed by the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl team. So I wanted to just bring this up because I know that we have a lot of manga fans that are in the What's Good audience, even though we have not personally talked a lot about One Piece. And I know, Britt, like, One Piece is not normally your thing. But I wanted to get both of your takes on what you think about the Pokemon team kind of being brought in to help develop, because the previous One Piece games have been like, fine, right? But I think we can universally agree that none of them have been like Game of the Year contenders.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part, because when you have an anime that you love so much, and again, like this is how I get overhyped for everything. Fairy Tail is one of my all-time favorite animes. I just think it's really like cute and fun and upbeat, and there's so much potential there for a fantastic video game. And even the way that was described was like an all new like experience, and all these characters that you love are going to be in there, and it's going to be so much fun. And then I played it, and I was just incredibly disappointed by it. So I think it's just really hard for me to get really excited about these sorts of things. Even Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, while it was like the Dragon Ball Z game, I thought it was going to be the Dragon Ball Z game that I'd always wanted. It just didn't really it didn't do it for me either. So that said, though, what this game does have going for it is I am not like a One Piece person. So maybe I'll play this and I'll just be so thrilled because ignorance is bliss in this occasion, and maybe I'll love it. But I mean, it looks way better than Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
It does.
Whoa.
That's a
Shots
takeaway.
fired.
This
You
looks
know how
pretty
I feel
good.
about that game.
The power of anime. Never underestimate the power of anime. Like, anime games sell well.
Yes.
I've seen one episode of One Piece, and I drove by a billboard the other day that said 1000th episode. That's my One
Oh.
Piece experience.
Okay.
So not a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna sell.
Wow. Those are some big boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this like looking at this as someone who's not a One Piece fan, like I think this looks actually I like the style of it. I think it looks right up my alley. It looks like, you know, a JRPG that you would just kind of stumble across in the old days, you know, when you'd be like browsing your EP games and you'd be like, oh, that box art looks fun, and then you'd play it and it turns out it'd be like the next big hit, like Dragon Quest VIII was for me anyway. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting from this. And that said, though, I don't know if it's gonna be good or anything, but I'll definitely keep my eye on it because it's kind of my
So they were
jam.
fighting a giant pair of sexy legs for a second in that trailer?
Yeah, after playing Persona, I'm not surprised by anything.
Sounds
No,
like
yeah.
anime to me.
You either kill God, become God, or fight sexy legs. That's
It's the
anime.
formula. Everybody
Yeah.
knows this. Don't
And
deviate
if you get all
from
three,
it.
then you're Persona.
Yeah.
Or Shin Megami, actually, probably.
We didn't
you
even
did
talk
fight
about
a-
Persona leaving what is that? PlayStation Plus? No, it was leaving something.
Now?
PlayStation Now? Is that what it was? I saw
Oh,
Persona
yeah,
5
yeah.
in the news and people were like, "No, Persona."
Persona 5 is leaving the PlayStation 5 PlayStation Plus collection. Claim it now.
There you go.
That's too bad. Such a
Get it
great
while you
game.
can, I
Yeah.
guess. Get it while you can.
Mhm.
So, Brittany, 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, we said we were going to watch and then talk about the Halo TV series.
Oh, God.
So, we're not going to go in depth because it just launched. And of course, we don't want to talk about spoilers or anything. But there was news that, first off, it launched. Hooray! If you've been waiting for it, it's out. You can watch it now on Paramount Plus. And Deadline has apparently reported that it has set a new record as the service's most watched series premiere globally in its first 24 hours. Now, they did not.
Whole people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now they didn't give specific numbers, which is always like,
Yeah.
But according to Deadline, if that is true, it means that Halo has exceeded the previous record set by Yellowstone's prequel, 1883, which drew 4.9 million viewers.
Them's
so,
good numbers.
Very good numbers. Isla, are you into Halo / have you watched this? Are you interested in watching this?
I like Halo. I was a PlayStation kid, like I said, so I didn't have an Xbox until my Series X that I just got, which happens to be the Halo
Wow.
one.
Welcome.
'Cause- Yeah, I love it. Game Pass, incredible value.
Right?
It's great. It's awesome. I mean, there's more. I played more on that until Elden Ring came out. I hadn't played my PS5 in a while, but yeah, Halo's great. Obviously I played Halo at in college and in the dorms and with friends and everything. We would do all the multiplayer and stuff. But in preparation for Infinite, I watched a 23-minute, I think IGN or something had a story summary video, which was fascinating. And the story of Halo is incredible and spans millions of years. And I love the way they name ships. So yeah, I'd be interested in seeing the show. Although, I heard that the thing about his face, and I was a little surprised because that's kind of the whole thing is you don't see his face. But I mean, whatever. It's a TV show. I guess you got to do what you got to do. But
So
is it good? I hope it's good. I don't know. I
Look-
felt like the budget looked low from the
So
trailers.
before we talk about that, because
Okay.
you're not wrong.
Okay.
The thing about them revealing Master Chief's face, I think I've seen some good takes and some bad takes. I think it's a good thing to compare it to some other characters who are masked that have been revealed. I think the one that kept coming up over and over in my feed, and I'm sure other people felt the same way, is the comparison directly against The Mandalorian, the Disney Plus series where you have this character who is part of his religious doctrine is not allowed to remove his mask. But then there is this moment where he removes it, but there's buildup. He doesn't take the mask off in the first episode, right? And it feels,
Is he hot?
I mean, yes, he is. But I think
Halo Master Chief.
is Master Chief hot? He just came out of combat, so he's all sweaty and a little I don't know, weird.
I'm gay as hell, so I don't know.
Here's the thing. Depending if you're gay or not, I think the way that people are attracted to other people is so subjective, right?
True.
So I could
Yeah.
think that someone's really hot, and then Brittany could think that person is not. Like Brittany has a thing for Trunks, and I'm like, nah, Trunks just doesn't do it for me.
That's my purple-haired wonder. Don't you diss him, Andrea Renee.
I'm not dissing him at all. I'm just saying he just doesn't, like blow
Very
my skirt up.
diplomatic, Andrea.
I mean, to be fair, like I want to bang most anything and everything that's in like a JRPG or so. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and Andrea's much more like she's much more. Not selfish is not the right word. Careful, much more protective over her
Particular.
good bits. Particular, sure. Like she's not out there like let's bang every JRPG character
No.
ever that's over the age of 18. Whereas that is me.
No, like in Mass Effect, I was with Liara through and through all 3
Yeah.
games. Like she was my
Yeah.
girl. She was like my one and only.
Yeah.
And like that was always the way it was going to be. I didn't deviate to just experiment and see what it was like to try to bone Miranda. That wasn't my
Yeah,
play.
see, I did.
That was me too. Same waifu. She treats you kind of weird in 2, though. I was kind of like, come on, let's just get married and let the universe die. That's what I said. She wasn't going for it. I was like, let's just U-Haul to Pluto and like, I don't know.
It's because she's a scientist and she also lives like hundreds of years more. So she's like, we've got responsibilities. But I appreciate that Brittany, likes to see her options.
Girl, I
Yeah,
love watching
you're-
you try to walk this delicate tightrope. Just call it for what it is. I want to fuck everything. It's fine.
Yeah. I've got some real spring chicken energy going lately myself. So, how's Cortana looking? That's what I want to know.
Haven't seen her yet.
Oh.
So don't know how Cortana looks in the series. But in regards
Because that
to
costume it leaves little to the imagination. in
it's
the
true.
games.
So whoever,
Mhm.
if they decide to use like an actual like live action actress and not just CG her in, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting how they portray her. But when it comes to like him taking off his helmet, it just felt so unearned. And I know
Right,
that
I
a
forgot
lot.
that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about Master Chief taking his helmet off. I know that a lot of the comments made by the showrunners have been taken out of context, that they are being like quoted as saying, we never looked at the video games. This is a universe that we've created based off the lore of Halo. We didn't want it to be kind of like handcuffed by what the video games did. And I think rightly, a lot of fans of the franchise are like, well, then who the fuck are you making this franchise for if not for us?
So
Right.
this was going to be like the majority of my hands-on segment is talking about Halo.
Okay, so we can save it to talk about it in the next segment. But I just wanted to call out that regardless of how you feel about it, it apparently has done well so far. And they've already greenlit season 2. So despite if you like it or not, there's going to be more of it. So hopefully you like it. And if not, then it'll probably die after season 2.
I'd kind of assumed that Paramount Plus was dying on the vine, but I'm kind of happy to hear that it's going well. Because my girlfriend and I were joking that, because they're doing that Godfather series, and like even in that, because Godfather basically kind of saved Paramount. I don't know, we don't need to get into the film history, but like it was kind of funny that a show about saving Paramount with Godfather was going to save Paramount Plus, and I think like they had to have known the irony. It's cute. I don't know.
I hadn't heard that the Godfather series had been doing really well.
I don't know if it's out yet, so I think it's about that though.
Oh, you know
so
what
who
I'm
knows?
thinking of? I'm thinking of the prequel Sopranos series, which is clearly not on Paramount Plus. It's obviously on HBO Max. But to mob stories, my wires have been crossed. But I just feel like all of these streaming services are just fighting to survive, and it's just about like who can get like the next big thing. Well, meanwhile, like Amazon's over in their own field, being like, we have so much money, it doesn't matter if all of our shit fails.
Right. Yeah,
But
we'll
it
just
doesn't. Like
put a
they've been
bill
making
on
good
everything
stuff.
and then like whatever.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think what the hard part is that you get a company like Amazon Studios that's clearly putting tons of budget into shows like The Expanse, which is a head-to-head competitor for a sci-fi show like Halo. And so you're going to look at the graphics and the CG and the effects and not only the acting and everything, writing, all of it, head-to-head against it and go, is there a comparison to make here? Which we will talk about in the next segment, everybody. Stick with us. We're going to take a short break and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast, where we talk about what we've been playing and any preview events that we have been to. So I wanted to just continue the conversation while we were talking about Halo, and then we will move on to some video games that we have been playing, like Tiny Tina and Elden Ring and some other things. So Brittany,
Oh, yes.
has her cup of whiskey, which looks like it's empty.
It is now, unfortunately.
Oh.
I had like
Is that
a little bit of...
Maker's Mark branded cup?
Yes, it is.
With the red wax and everything.
Oh,
Nice.
you good eyes. I like you so
I
much.
Look
like
at
Maker's
Brittany. I
Mark.
bought a new bottle in the hope that you're going to come
Oh.
and visit and we can drink it together.
The
I
day
didn't know
you
we were
and
supposed
I...
to be drinking.
Oh, absolutely. Welcome
You
to
are
What's Good
welcome
Games
to
podcast.
drink or not drink. We are both
Yeah.
alcohol and non-alcoholic friendly here at What's Good Games.
Absolutely. I think we have sake in the Easy Allies fridge, but
Ooh.
otherwise,
If you
yeah, I
want to
don't know.
grab something, you are more than welcome to, because I think Brittany has some things she would like to say about Halo.
It's true.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right, Brittany, lay it on us. What's your beef with Halo, the TV series?
Girl, I ain't got no beef. I liked it.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Okay. I had to say that for dramatic effect. There's
Okay.
a big ol' asterisk next to that. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Andrea knows this. I like bad TV. I like bad movies. It's just like my thing. If they make me laugh and smile and chuckle, despite if the plot is all fucked up, despite if the budget looks like, oh, maybe that's not so great, I'm going to have a good time with it. And so when it comes to like TV and film, it's nothing. I don't watch it. I just don't, unless it's, Andrea judging Shineland. So to backtrack here, Andrea and John had both reached out to me before Jason and I watched Halo. And, I got the impression that they weren't the biggest fans of it. And so I went into it with, probably pretty low expectations. And so this is what I will say after watching the first episode, which is like 54 minutes. Does this follow the plot of your typical Halo video game installment? No. Does the budget look like it's cutting edge and the elites and the Covenant and everything else in it, do they look like, oh my God, that's amazing? No. Are you going to think like, this is the greatest piece of television I've ever watched in my entire life? Absolutely not. But what I liked about Halo is I liked all of the fan service, and that's, maybe a small audience, not small, obviously, as we saw, like it performed record-breaking numbers, whatever. But it was the little things that I really loved. I liked Master Chief's entrance. I liked the sounds of his shield rebooting that one time. I liked it when he detached the big old, turret gun thing. I mean, and I'm going to keep this spoiler free, but all of the little things in there that were so much like the video game, I was like, this is entertaining as hell. But as we were talking about in the last segment, the helmet being taken off, the character of Chief, who he is, and the things he does, it does not feel like Master Chief. And so that's like the big distinction I want to make. I think if you go into this just thinking like, hey, this is going to be some fun Halo stuff, it's going to be set in a weird alternate Halo universe, and Chief isn't necessarily Chief, and he does some weird Chiefy things that don't make a lot of sense, I think you'll have an okay time with it. I think if you're expecting like an incredible art of television, it's just not going to happen. But we were both very entertained, and we're like, it is what it is. So like, that's my like overview of my time with Halo, Andrea Renee.
That's fair. I think I probably went into it a little bit more critical than you. As somebody who's very much enjoyed the Halo franchise, but I'm not a self-proclaimed Halo fangirl by any means. I think that it's great, but I think that what they've done with the series makes it really difficult for somebody like me who really enjoys the video games but isn't super deep into the lore to kind of get into. And I know that we're early, right? They've definitely got some work to do, and we're going to see how these characters evolve. I think it's tough for me as somebody who watches a lot of TV, and we know that you don't watch a lot of TV.
Exactly.
And that's not something that I think is a dig. It's just a reality that I spend a lot of time watching a lot of highly cinematic television. It's just something that I enjoy to do. I think the trouble with what we've seen so far is that it just doesn't feel comparable to other things that are out there. Like we mentioned in the last segment, you know, you get shows like The Expanse. I know people have also mentioned shows like The Mandalorian and some of the other sci-fi shows that are set in space and going, hey, these are kind of the standards for graphics. If you're coming with a massive IP like Halo and not bringing the budget, like, why are we even bothering?
Like The Expanse has a massive budget either, you know, like, and it got canceled halfway through the books. I'm reading the books right now, but I love The Expanse.
But there was like 6 seasons. That's pretty
canceled
good for TV.
No, it's definitely that thing of the first time you see CG in this, you're like, that is definitely CG. You know, it's very obvious. And I think the way the episode opens is like, so narratively, like, yeah, this isn't really doing it for me at all. It's not. But it's just the little nudges in there. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Oh, there's keys, or like there's XYZ. And what kind of relationship does he have with who? Like, this is really weird. And so, yeah, like, I think that's actually a really important distinction is Andrea, like, I would say can critique television and film in a way that I cannot, because like, I just don't consume a lot of that kind of content. But, yeah. Just, I think it all comes down to, as everything, just with expectations. And if you're just looking for something cheesy and silly, like, I think you could enjoy it. It just depends on like what you're looking for.
You kind of sold me on it. I want to watch it.
Yeah,
because of that.
Well, to be clear, it's not bad, right? Like, if it was bad, I would outright say like, don't waste your time. Or if you don't have a Paramount Plus subscription, like, this is not worth paying to watch.
I don't have that, so.
I think that there's a way that you can get a trial, right? A Paramount Plus trial. I'd have to look it up. I thought Microsoft was offering like a deal for Game Pass subscribers. I thought for sure.
I should look into that because I do have Game Pass, incredible value.
Okay, here we go. While the Halo TV series usually requires a paid Paramount Plus subscription, Xbox Game Pass subscribers can now watch the first few episodes for free. Microsoft has partnered with Paramount to provide members a 30-day trial to the video streaming service.
By partnered, they mean they paid Paramount.
Right.
They're like, hey, this is our IP. We're gonna just pay to like bring our subscriber base in.
Hey,
because
man, I'll try
Microsoft has fuck you money. Unlike Sony,
God.
they don't have fuck you money like Microsoft.
I aspire to have fuck you money someday.
Oh, don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah.
I'm glad, Britt, that you're enjoying it. I think I sometimes let my thinker hat of like, and I also love bad movies. Like, I am a self-proclaimed fan of the fucking Transformer movie series, and a lot of people give me shit for that. But I don't know. I think I just was a little disappointed with how the story unfolded, and he also left his mask off for far too long. Like, put
Agreed.
that.
I 100% agree.
I kept saying, put that shit back on. You're in an active combat zone. Like, if we're gonna like actually be a Spartan, like, put your fucking helmet back on.
He took it off during combat?
Well, it wasn't during combat. Look, okay, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free here. Like,
okay, yeah, we don't have to get into it, but that's not the Master Chief I know.
right, exactly.
He would never do that. I mean,
No.
literally.
No. Yeah, and they're definitely like rushing character development in a way that's like, okay, like, but again, like, and like Andrea said, you know, as someone who's also a big fan of Halo, who has played each title multiple times, you know, you really get to know Chief when you do that.
Yeah.
And to see their take on him, there are moments where I'm like, okay, yeah. And there's other moments where I'm like, who are you? Who are you supposed to be? But I mean, that's just the way it is. Yeah.
It was interesting because John brought up a really interesting point when we were watching. He was like, I wish they would have Darth Vader'd him. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, in the cinema, in the movies, Darth Vader has one voice when he has his helmet on, you know.
James Earl Jones.
Exactly. And he has the other voice, Christian Haydenson, when his helmet is off.
Yeah.
Or not Christian Haydenson, the other legacy actor whose name I'm forgetting.
Yeah, his name I don't remember.
From the original trilogy.
Hayden Christensen's going to be in the Obi-Wan, though, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with the voice.
Yeah, so they gave him like a unified voice within the helmet, and then without the helmet, you know, a different voice. And it's like they could have easily done that if they wanted to. but they chose not to. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been a really smart choice to do.
It would have been.
Because he's so iconic. It's like wild. The way you phrased it, of thinking of it as a different universe, feels right. Like that feels like the way to think of it.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't think they can do it now. It's too late. Too late to
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to get wackier and wackier the more the series goes deeper into the season, because some of the relationships that are being set up, some of the dynamics, it's just going to turn into a whole like cuckoo banana Birdie Bunch type of situation. So I think it's going to be a shit show, but a good kind of shit show. Like the kind that you're like, okay, this is fun.
I'm interested to see if they're going to be able to successfully explain the Halo lore to a television audience, because it's convoluted AF.
Very convoluted. Like the video I watched to catch me up, I was like 17 minutes in, and it had already gone through the entire history of a human race and started it over, and then been like, now is the events of game 1. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. It's
25
almost as
million
convoluted as Elden Ring, which is, another
nice
thing that
segue.
everybody is talking about. So we are going to talk about Tiny Tina, but I made a segue because, Isla, I'm happy to hear that you've also been playing the game that I love to hate, which I talked about not only on our show last week and the last 2 weeks, but also on DLC. So what has been your Elden Ring experience? And for everybody out there who doesn't follow your work, are you a Soulsborne fan, or is this your first experience with From Software games?
I'm a huge Soulsborne fan. I've beaten all of them. I'm at the last boss in Elden Ring right now. I've been taking my time. I think I'm like 100 hours in.
Ooh.
And I have every trophy for the platinum except for the get the endings ones. So I guess I'll have to do that. But yeah, I love FromSoft games. I historically, I used to be more of a negative Nancy about it, but like Dark Souls literally like ruined games for me because I didn't understand the hype. I saw everyone playing it at game trailers, and I was like, this game is ugly and looks weird. Like, why is everyone obsessed with this? And I picked it up for 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, I'm in love with this. And since then, the rest is history. Like, Bloodborne's one of my favorite games of all time. Elden Ring is up there. So it's the way I like my games. But that said, like, I fully get it if it's not your thing. That's like, I'm not someone who gets mad about that. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you like and don't like. Just live your life. Do what you want. I love it. Don't let people razz you for it. Everyone just loves to be mad. But like Elden Ring, I love it. It's fantastic. IMHO, but my opinion isn't correct because there's no such thing as truth.
Yeah, but you're allowed to say, I think this thing is great, and that's a valid opinion.
Yeah. I love it. I think that it's almost to a hilarious degree. It's FromSoft playing the hits. Like, they're kind of literally just doing
It's
all
their
the
greatest
best
hits album.
parts. Yeah, it literally is. And it works, for if you like their catalog and like their songs, you're going to love it when they play all their hits. If you don't, you won't. And it's not overly complicated, and I definitely don't think everyone should like every game. So, whatever.
No, I think that's an interesting idea that it's their greatest hits, because I think this game has actually reached a lot of people who haven't been From Software fans.
12 million units, baby.
I mean, people like me, like I've talked about this, about how I don't know why I'm still playing this game, why I'm still thinking about this game as somebody who played Dark Souls 3 like just a tiny bit and then played more of Bloodborne and was like, this is just not for me. But I kept hearing everybody talk about it, and so I spent more time with it, and I've been enjoying the exploration, but I'm banging my head against the wall when it comes to some poor design choices on some what I think are fundamentally like very basic bitch shit. Like the save button, right? Like I mentioned even Sekiro had a save button. So it's not like From Software doesn't know that save buttons exist.
Well, it saves constantly. So everything you do is saved always.
Well, sorry. Save button was not what I meant. Pause button.
Oh, pause button. Yeah.
Pause button is what I meant. This idea that like you can't really walk away from the game unless you use this weird menu workaround. Like, oh, I have to find where the menu explanation is, and then I can like pause the game. I think, I don't need to rehash that. I think what's really great about Elden Ring is they've reached a bigger audience to bring the fantastical designs that From Software is so well known for to a broader audience, and clearly people are excited about it. And it's really reaching people in a whole new way. And who knows, maybe by the time this podcast airs, there will be some weird announcement that Sony has bought From Software, because that's one of the rumors that's been flying around this week. But I think that I appreciate people's perspectives about how great this game is. Some of it I just don't get. I'm like, this just isn't for me, and that's okay. It's do funny, wish
like the pause button thing is it's a crystalline example of kind of the whole debate, right? Because I feel like I want to write a book called like Zen and the Art of Dark Souls or something, because like it's all about perspective, right? Like once you give up the fear of death, you don't care about a pause button because you'll just die, and it's like whatever, you can just get back there. And like when you get to the point, like I was in Elden Ring, I was in an area, a later game area, so I won't say where, but I lost 120,000 souls, and I didn't care. Like that's when you've attained total universal consciousness, right? Like you're just like,
I don't think we'll ever not care though. That's my problem.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, obviously this is tongue in cheek, but like, you're not like, I wonder if the lesson that you're trying to teach it and not letting it teach you, maybe, I don't know. But also like, it's fine to not like them. That's the funny thing, that everyone, like my impulse, even me, right? And I'm all about like, everyone has their own perspective. Everyone can do whatever the hell they want. My impulse is still to like defend it and try to make you love it because I love it. I believe the way to do that is not with anger, but like you catch more flies with honey, right? But like,
exactly.
It's a funny thing where like I've had friends who hated Dark Souls, hated Demon Souls, played, one of them, Bloodborne most commonly, and were like, "Oh, I get it now." And that seems to be a common experience. For some people, that just doesn't happen. And it's like, okay, that's just not the kind of game you want to play. Like for me, games like Devil May Cry or Batman or whatever, where it's more like combo-based combat, where it's less direct input kind of stuff, I get frustrated with that because it feels like I don't have as much control. And so like, that's just not for me. And like, no amount of playing it is going to make that be for me. And if it's not in the cards for me to like learn to love that. So I think it's totally fine to not like this style of game. Yeah, that's totally fine.
God, I want to like clip that and just play it for everybody in the entire world. Such a voice of reason and logic. It's like, yeah, it's just refreshing to hear.
I've had a shitty life. I've been fortunate in unfortunate ways, and it's taught me some things.
That it's okay to just like move on with your life and let other people like not like it or like a thing. Somebody could love something that you don't love, and it's okay. You can just like let them love it. Just like somebody might hate something that you're like, why do you hate this thing? It's okay to just like let them hate it. Well,
it's interesting.
That's a little bit more complicated now that I say that out
complicated.
loud. But like the loving part is like, let somebody love something. It's what it is. What it is.
Yeah,
that gets complicated. But
that gets complicated too. Ugh. Table flip.
Be a dick.
The general rule of thumb is just don't be a dick. Like, let everyone do what they want to do, and that's fine as long as it's not hurting anybody.
Exactly. And I think most of the discourse around Elden Ring hasn't gotten too toxic. At least the stuff that's in my feed, but I also like heavily curate a lot of what I see. But I think overall, I expand a little bit on what I've been doing and playing in Elden Ring in this week's DLC episode, which again, like shout out to Christian Spicer and Jeff Canada for having me on the show. I talked Brittany's like face off about Elden Ring last week and the week before, so no need to rehash. I do want to talk about a new game that we said we were going to chat about this week that I'm very excited about playing. It's very different from Elden Ring, called Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Brittany posted a photo on the social medias about how you and your husbando were co-oping this game.
It was so glorious. It was the first time that we had gotten out in I don't know how long. But anyway, yeah, so one of our favorite things to do is we like to just get out of the house and we like to get a hotel room or an Airbnb somewhere. In this case, we went to a cute little town called Leavenworth. That's maybe like 3.5 hours away from here. And just rented a room, and we brought a little small TV that we have that we literally bought purely for travel purposes, because most of the time, like, these rooms only have like one TV, and we like to play co-op games. So we brought a travel TV, we brought our Xboxes, and we just holed up and drank whiskey, baked cookies, and played Tiny Tina quite a bit. And
That's so cute. I love that.
it was literally therapeutic. It was so nice. And I mean, especially, I mean, Andrea knows when you have a baby that wants nothing but you, they say to hell's dad, I just want mom right now. I'm in that phase of my life. It's exhausting. So to be able to get away and spend some time with your partner is just so nice. So lovely. Anyway, yeah, we had a fantastic time. And this was just the perfect kind of game, I think, for us to play, because it's so upbeat and lighthearted and fucking hilarious. And I think that's the thing. The Borderlands formula, it feels more or less the same, right, throughout all three of the iterations. And I'm sure if you're a super fan, you can like go through and like nitpick all of the differences. But for me, as a casual fan of the Borderlands franchise, it just, they've always kind of felt more or less the same, which is why I really burned out early with Borderlands 3. And then with Tiny Tina's the Dragon Keep, the one-shot adventure, we played that for the first time maybe like a month or so ago. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was so funny and hilarious, and it got us really excited for Wonderlands. And so what Wonderlands has going for it, I think more than anything, is just the writing is so fucking clever. I feel like I can't stop laughing when I'm playing this. Like, the people who wrote this are just brilliant, and I am just so like thrilled with like how this game makes me feel. It just makes me feel so. There's Paladin Mike.
Oh my god, Paladin Mike is such a great character.
Oh my god, I know. And just the funny things that happen. It's such a self-aware game, and I don't know. It's just a really great palate cleanser right now, and it's really scratching an itch. It's so fun.
I couldn't agree more. I think this game is so self-aware in a way that is refreshing. They're not pulling any punches. They are just like, we're recognizing that we're tropey in the best ways, that these are video game mechanics that you know and love. We're not trying to be innovative. We're just trying to be unbridled fun. And I think so few games really allow you to have that kind of sense of satisfaction when you play. And what I really love about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and I do want to give a thank you to 2K and Gearbox for providing us with codes for the game and for sending Brittany and I both these really fun special press kits. And as I mentioned, I got to do the really fun video with the kind of funny team. So like all of the disclosures out of the way. Y'all know that I'm a giant Borderlands fan. There's been claptraps on the What's Good Game set since we've existed, back in the San Francisco days. And so I was really excited about this game because I love Tiny Tina as a character. And I think that Bunkers and Badasses was this really interesting, tiny little part of the Borderlands universe that they expanded. And I think that aesthetic actually works so much better. I was really like disappointed that Borderlands 3 didn't grab me the way that I wanted it to. Like, I didn't spend as much time with that game as I thought I was going to, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. And I think the writing was a really big part of it. And I was really happy that this game, as you said, Brittany, is just funny, moment to moment. Everything is great. The narrative is there, and on top of that, you have this fantastic voice cast. You've got Wanda Sykes, Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, and Of course, Ashley Birch is back as Tiny Tina. I do think there could be more Tiny Tina in this game. But I love that you have so many different voices you can choose from for your character. And there's so much choice here, and player choice is just really at the forefront. We talk about Paladin Mike. I love how gender bending of a character Paladin Mike is. You don't really get to see a lot of that in video games, this idea of actual, like, legitimately non-binary characters. And the ability to really create a character that feels representative of who you are, as either freakishly fantasy as you want to make it. I personally gave my character purple skin. That's up to you what you want to do or not. And I love that they just give you so much choice, and it all makes sense because it's all fantasy role playing. And that, I think, was what really works about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, is that it really is truly just all made up, and nothing has to make sense, but they have this archetype of rules within it, so it doesn't feel like utter chaos, right? Like there still needs to be like some confines of the world, which is, I think, is you'll see the Borderlands kind of DNA throughout this game, and I think that's kind of the thread that ties it all together. You'll get to see some fun characters from the Borderlands universe, and I just really love that this game allows me to disconnect and just like have a good time. I know I'm going to pull this game up and I'm just going to pew shit, and it's not going to matter. I'm going to have some bananas guns. I'm going to throw some stupid spells, and I'm just going to have fun. And I've just been really loving that about Tiny Tina.
It feels like you're playing with friends even when you're not. And because you're right, the writing and how self-aware it is, I feel like everything you're doing, there's usually someone commenting about it. If it's not Tiny Tina herself, it's like your, I guess, mentors, if you want to call them, or whatever their actual titles are.
Your companions, your party mates.
Your party mates. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it just feels like you're playing something with friends. And our D&D experience, we play it at PAX every year. It reminds me so much of that. Because it is that moment of, we were noobs. We still are noobs. Let's not, like, kid ourselves.
About what I'm, like, yelling at you about. You can't use that spell right now, Brittany.
No, I'm like, let me. So, like, yeah, like, I would do the stupidest shit. Like, I put a blob of gelatinous, like, gunk in my back pocket, but it was acidic, so it burned my back pocket, and then I just was an orc with an ass cheek hanging out the entire campaign. Like, but that's the kind of stupid shit I love to do in this game. And I feel like what's so fun about it, in D&D rather, and what I love about this game, is I feel like the people you're air quotes playing with are trying to pull that same shit. And sometimes Tina's like, you know what, that sounds pretty fucking cool, I'm gonna make it happen. And then the entire game in front of you just changes, and she makes that idea come to fruition. And so, I don't know, it's just really scratching that itch in a way I didn't think it would. But God, it's just such a, like, I just love it. I'm having so much fun, way more fun than I've had with Borderlands in a long time. And I think the setting, the change of scenery really helps. I think how self-aware it is. And again, just like the moment-to-moment dialogue is just so fucking funny.
Yeah, it's funny. And Isla, you had a D&D show once upon a time.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I did. We've been playing D&D. We had been playing D&D even at Game Trailers, and then here we played a lot of it. And then we were doing Fiasco. My tabletop, I think my cooldown is still running on tabletop right now, but I want to get back into it eventually. Like, good friends of mine were like, come play D&D with us, and I was like, no.
Like, I'm actually good, thanks.
And it's funny, I mean, hearing you guys talk about this one, it's like, I don't know, because historically, like, kind of like what we were talking about before, Borderlands just hasn't been for me. Like, I don't know if it's not my style of gameplay or not my sense of humor. And, like, I'm friends with Ash, so I always want to give it, like, a good, like, I support it,
the old college try, yeah.
Right, it's never been for me. And I think maybe it's because I've always played them alone. Maybe if I was
no, it's like playing Destiny alone.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like I played it wrong, so maybe I just gave it an unfair shake. So I need to do that. Also, yes. Britt, your story about the two TVs is so cute. And my girlfriend and I have a similar thing in our living room where I have a TV this way for playing Elden Ring, and she has a TV this way for playing Pokemon. So we're like cross each other's like pattern of view or whatever.
I feel like Andrea and John have a very similar.
We have the perpendicular televisions as well.
Yeah,
I know a lot of couples will go side by side, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, the perpendicular is the way
Omar
to go.
and I had it. My roommate Omar. Technically, I still live at Omar's house, but I haven't slept there since October. But I took my TV out of there. We had them parallel. So that's maybe more of like a friends thing. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
No. It's. I think like you touched on why I think this game is important. I want to like make sure people listening and watching know you do not need to have any knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons to appreciate and have fun with this game. My and Brittany's knowledge of D&D playing is very limited.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Lucigen and the rest of our D&D crew. Definitely want to do another chapter, but you will have fun with this game if you enjoy first-person shooters, first and foremost. Gearbox is excellent at making a FPS game. But also, if you just want something whimsical that you don't have to overthink, that you can just lose yourself in. And the humor really is excellent. The writing is fun. The voice performances are great. And it's just silly. I mean, I did a side quest where I had to help a farmer attract a goblin to a garden so that she could get the other farmer to fall in love with her by killing the goblin in her garden. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And it's just as ridiculous as it sounds. And then the farmer ended up falling in love with the goblin and not the other farmer. And like these kinds of side quests are just like really fun, and they just let you disconnect, and the escapism of it is really, I think, what I was looking for, and just having a really, really fun time. So if you guys were thinking about checking it out, yeah, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is out, and it's cross-platform on all platforms, which is awesome. So if you have friends that are playing on PC or Xbox or PC, you can, or PlayStation, you can all play together, which is wonderful.
Take notes, Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring, get your shit together.
Elden Ring, trash.
You trash video game.
You trash. I wish it had cross save.
Cross progression is god tier, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. If I could like jump from my PS5 to the Steam Deck or something, like, that would be bonkers. Anyway,
people would buy the
games consoles
again. Just make a cross progression and then make people buy the game 3 times. Boom. That's a business model. Destiny did it.
I own Destiny on 2 different things too.
So I want to ask you, before we get to Brittany swooning over Lost Judgment, I want to ask you about Darkened Skye.
Oh God.
So what is this game? So you were playing it on Easy A.
Okay, yeah. So we had at Easy Allies, we had our the last couple of years, our anniversary stream has been called Easy X. It's called that. I don't know if people know this. It's called that because we were gonna do. Oh no, people know this. We were gonna do an in-person con called Easy X because we had been doing live events every anniversary. The first couple were concerts, and then the next one was Mysterious Monsters, our game show live. But then COVID happened, so we changed it to just a week-long kind of like hangout. Bunch of marathon streams, 12 hours a day or whatever. And we ended with, so we have a show called Trash Babies where we play a game that gets a 60 or less on Metacritic and then decide if we want to trash it or treasure it.
Amazing.
And Bloodworth brought this game in called Darkened Skye.
Okay, to Google.
I'm pulling up a trailer, don't worry.
Okay.
Oh my God. This game, it's so bad. And it's the voice acting is horrible. The writing is so cringy, and I hate the word cringy. And the graphics and everything about it is awful, and I just love it to pieces.
Oh, good.
And
Those are the best.
And then all of that, like if you're looking at the footage now and not listening, it looks like just garbage, right? Like just weird, like freaky, uncanny valley, and then you realize that she's got like this artifact and it looks kind of familiar, and you're like, why does that little orange dot look so familiar? And then you see a close-up of it and it's like, okay, there's an S on it? What is this? And then you realize It's a Skittles game.
What?
It's a 16-hour long dark fantasy, dark comedy Skittles game.
Like the candy Skittles.
Like the candy Skittles.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is real.
Wow.
I don't know. Bloodworth's theory, one of the guys here, his theory is that someone had a game 80% done and then ran out of money, and they went, "Hey Skittles, can we just cram you into the lore of this?" Cuz like besides the magic powers being powered by Skittles and like color being quote unquote outlawed, even though it's not like a colorless game, Skittles have nothing to do with anything. They're like these ancient artifacts that like are rumored to be like, everyone thinks they're just a myth. Also, I learned from this game, very upsetting knowledge, that Skittles is both plural and singular. So they will say like when
Moose.
she finds the wizened old woman in the beginning of the game, she's like, "Oh, you have a Skittles." And I was just like,
Oh no.
"A Skittle? What?" It's very weird. But it's one of those games, and there's an amazing speed run that AGDQ did of it. I recommend you seeking that out, or you can watch our run, which so far has been 6 hours. We did a thing where donations increased the length of time that we would have to play it, and I should have done the math differently because we hit 5 hours. It was $100 for 15 minutes, and we hit 5 hours in like 20 seconds.
That's great, though. It means you got a lot of donations.
I mean, it was magnificent, but like...
You were like, we should have made this
is
more
incredible.
expensive.
We should have made it more expensive. So then we later made the decision that we will come to rue, but that we would continue adding time on a different day. So right now we have 8 more hours worth of Darkened Skye to play. We're just going to beat it, I think. We're just going to do the whole thing. But it's marvelous.
This is incredible. I'm looking at a screenshot, and it's your skill upgrade tree. And
Yeah.
you literally use Skittles to upgrade your shit.
Yeah, and you don't have enough, at least so far, we don't have enough to have all the powers at the same time. We only have enough to have like 2 or 3 at a time. And so anytime you have to switch powers, which is kind of frequent, you have to go to this chunky menu and like navigate over and like unequip the Skittles and then re-equip them somewhere else and then go back into the...
This is just hilarious.
Everything about the game is horrible. It's beautiful.
Is the best surprise I've gotten in a long time.
It's a Skittles game.
Now Brittany's gonna go find out where she can play this game.
Yeah, I see it's on GameCube. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check my large plethora of games that I own and see if I actually bought this at a garage sale at some point in my life.
Yeah,
because...
Bloodworth brought in like, I think we were playing it on a Wii, but yeah. Also, like, because of the stream, like, I had bought us a bunch of Skittles. So now I'm back on the Skittles train. I'd been good. I hadn't had Skittles in like a year or two. I used to eat Skittles so much I would get hot face, you know? But like...
Wait, what does that mean?
You know, if you eat like 3 pounds of Skittles in a sitting and then you get so much sugar that your face gets really hot.
Oh, wow.
Wait,
That's a
I've
lot of
literally
Skittles.
never heard of this before.
Well, you probably never ate 3 pounds of Skittles before either.
Yeah,
at a time.
maximum sugar consumption hasn't been a thing in my life, but I'm interested to hear about hot face from overdosing on sugar.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's not great, and the come down is real bad.
I bet.
This is incredible. This is the most incredible video game I've ever heard about in my entire life.
It's one of those games though
I can't stop reading about it.
Yeah, it's really cozy too, like in how just god awful it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like the level design is insane. We had to get Bloodworth was straight up. There were 7 of us on the couches screaming at this game, trying to jump up this dumb like parkour tower thing while being shot at by like 30 guys. The game design is horrible. And like he's like literally looking at the game facts, like trying to walk us through where we're supposed to go. And he's like, go up 3 cracks in the wall, go out, look down and to the right, and there's a door. And it's just like, How would someone do this? Like, figure out these prosaic, bizarre room designs. It's
I'm trying to find
Brilliant.
in your stream when you were playing it. Also, this dress that you're wearing on stream is like really cute. But
thanks.
But all I see is Mario Kart.
Oh, that's day one of. Nope, I don't want to update Windows. That would be day one of EasyX. So 4 days later, it's on our YouTube also. But you don't have to pull it up. That's okay. But
No, but I thought it would be funny. But I mean,
it would be.
This is. I mean,
it's
such a random pull for a game.
Oh, I think I found it. I just messaged it to you if you can pull it in Discord. Oh my god, though. This is literally the best surprise ever. Okay. I was not expecting this.
You're gonna love it.
I love these kinds of bullshit games that just turn out to be so bad you can't stop playing because they're good.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me to this.
Yeah, so this is you guys playing this game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is Huber like jumping around, and like the jumping platforming is so bad. She's so floaty, and you can control her in the air, which sometimes is to your benefit, and sometimes you overcorrect and just like fly off. I put on our TikTok and Instagram the other day a part where Huber, the guy who's playing right now on the right, like he literally says, I'm telling you right now, it's right when he started his first turn. We all took 15-minute turns in a rotation for this game. Is right when he started his turn, and he was like, I could tell you right now I'm not going to be good at this, and then immediately walked into the water.
Nice.
Like with perfect timing. Because the collision detection on hills is so bad that she won't jump if she's on a slant.
Oh my gosh, no.
I love it. I love it.
I love it too. I just love this. Thank you.
Yeah, please play Darkened Skye. It's utter garbage. And it's perfect.
Spend your time playing a piece of trash.
It's wonderful.
But it'll make you
not
laugh.
Ring,
And like sometimes that's all you
way.
need, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we have some questions to get to for Isla, but Brittany, do you want to talk about the Kaito files? Or you want to save it for next week?
Kaito files, Andrea Renee.
Kaito, my bad.
No, I'll save it for next week. It's just what it is, ladies and gentlemen, is just the latest DLC for Lost Judgment, where you play as Kaito-san, and that's that. I'm only like an hour and a half in, but so far, I love it so much. Kaito is a big dumb human, and I love him because he's just a big all brawn, no brain, or so you are led to think. But what I really do like about this DLC is that it really introduces a different side of him to you, and I think that's really important because he is such an integral part of the Judgment series. But I will be back next week to report on it because, oh no, I have to play it so much more between now and then. Oh no. Oh, the terrible existence I live.
Sad for Brittany. Yeah. I, of course, am always looking forward to hearing more about your Japanese husbandos.
So many.
Just so many of them. Can't
So
keep
many.
track of all of their names.
No,
You always tweet gifs of them to me, and I'm like, which one is this again? I don't remember. So many of them. Okay, so we have a couple questions that we have cherry picked from our community. This isn't really a question, but we love one Brandon Kagan here at What's Good. So
Same, us too.
Oh.
Brandon writes, for Isla, hi, Miss Hinck, here to preach the good word that is mysterious monsters, reaction shots, and other Easy Allies goodness, question mark? Is that a question?
You just did with Trash Babies. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. Mysterious Monsters is our game show. It's like a trivia show with RPG elements. You beat monsters by getting questions right. Reaction Shots is our movie podcast. And yeah, Trash Babies I talked about. We have all kinds of... We have two... As we covered it in the A section, we have too many things.
You have 25,000 shows that you do.
Do you have a
at Easy
particular
Allies.
show? Is there a particular show that you like have the most fun with?
Well, Trash Babies is a lot of fun and it's easier to do, but Mysterious Monsters is probably the most like rewarding show because every time it's one of our shows where and this happens sometimes, you know, but like I'll get to the end, or like I'll be watching Mysterious Monsters while it's up, and I'm just like very proud of it. I'm just like, man, this is like pretty good, like legit, you know. And I'm not like someone who hates on her own work, or someone who like thinks, you know, I'm hot shit or anything. But like, Mysterious Monsters is all right. Check it out.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment to toot your horn for a second. For people who aren't familiar with your and I's history and how we used to work together. So
there's a drawing of you right outside this door, by the way.
Oh, it's part of that fan art, right?
One. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That
I had it in my studio for a long time, but then I replaced it with some What's Good fan art, so don't be mad.
That makes sense.
But so Isla and I used to work together, and I was a senior producer, and I don't remember what your title was when I was
editor
at Defy, but whatever it was,
lead editor at Defy
was probably not big enough for the amount of work that you were doing and the amount of talent that you have. And just like such an incredible person to work with, as somebody who worked with so many different post-production people in my life, I was like, dang, like this bitch knows what's up. And like I always knew that when I brought a package to Isla's desk, is like it got done. You never had to like check in on her. You never had to like sit down, pull up a chair next to the edit bay and be like, okay, let's go through all of the choices you made. When you sent work for Isla to do, like it just got done, and it got done quickly, and it got done immaculately. Like you are just so talented. I just want to like let you know that I don't think I've ever told you this to your face, but like, and I know technically we're not like to each other's faces, but I have mad respect for the work that you do.
Thank you so much. It's embarrassing. I don't know.
No, it's not embarrassing. You're just really great, and like I think it's from a personal, professional curiosity. I'm like, well, what is she doing now? Like, obviously, being co-head of something as big as Easy Allies is a lot of responsibility. Like, do you still like take joy in just editing pieces, or do you find more joy now in being more of like a creative strategist? Like, what are the parts of the job that you get really excited about now?
Yeah, it's also, yeah, thank you so much. You are also definitely one of the, like, producers are pretty annoying, and you never were, so that's good.
Thank you. I'll take it.
No, that's high praise. No. No, you were great. I miss working with you. You're welcome anytime. Come by.
Oh, I'd love to.
Monsters if you want. Although some people don't like being on trivia shows, which totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, it shows our weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. I was on MinMax's trivia tower, and I was like,
I
don't know
crushed.
why I didn't. Oh, I got destroyed. I was like, I don't know why I didn't think this would be all video game trivia, but it's stupid that I didn't think that. Because I was like, I should have sent Damiani or Bloodworth to this damn thing, because I know a lot about not video games. Anyway, editing is, because I've been doing it for so long, I think I come close to what Taoists would call like wu wei, where it's like non-action action. Like I don't have to think about doing it. It just kind of happens. I think about like the decisions and the art going into it, but like, so I find it really relaxing most of the time, unless the environment I'm editing in is really hot or dry or something, then it sucks because I don't want to be looking at a computer screen. But so I love editing. It's really something that I feel because I learned it so long ago and I've been doing it for so long, it's like effortless for me, and I just get to enjoy the act of creation and seeing my creations coalesce, you know? Creative strategy for a company like Easy Allies is pretty terrifying, and I'm enjoying it. I'm revitalized. Like Blood and I we had a meeting 2 or 3 months ago. So we actually had taken over from Brandon, and we're doing stuff for a couple of weeks, and then Brandon's son was having some health problems. He's doing well now, thankfully, but it was weird timing because like we had already made that shift, and then Brandon had to take a bunch of time off to be with his son, which obviously fortunate isn't the right word, but the timing was, at least we got to do that before.
Maybe is the word.
Serendipitous, yeah. And so it kind of was interesting because what was going to be a more gradual kind of trade-off became like, okay, Blood, you're moderating the podcast now. You guys are in charge of everything and stuff. So like it was a baptism by fire, but leading into that, I noticed my own passion for the job was reignited, and like I redesigned the logo in that time and like started talking about getting a community manager and like doing all these things and like trying to get a bunch of stuff done. And like I'm someone who kind of like, I need to get things done before I can let myself relax, which is a good quality in an editor, but not a great quality in like life.
I get it.
Maybe all the time.
Yeah, no, it's hard to relax when you always have things to do.
Right, like my to-do list never goes away, and I mean that's always been the case, but like now my to-do list is actual things, like I have to call a movie theater to rent a theater for Sonic the Hedgehog, I have to have our ceiling fixed, I have to, like all these things, and it's
the
like
administrative shit, right?
Yeah, if it weren't for lists I'd be going bonkers, but it's exciting too, so yeah, I love it. I'm feeling energized.
Awesome. It's so great when something happens and it revitalizes your mojo, your passion, your fire. Yeah, I think, we talk about burnout quite a bit, and it's hard when, I'm not trying to thrust myself into this conversation, when, when you want to be doing more, because you kind of still have like that entrepreneurial spark that's in there, and it's like, I want to go, but you just don't have the capacity to do it. It's really hard. So
yeah,
I'm getting like such a vicarious thrill from you right now. I'm like, oh, yeah, like tell me more about your fire. Like, let's go, baby.
No, I like, and what you said is true. Like, I try to find time for my own projects too, because like I went to film school. Film has been my passion. Gaming I got into accidentally, but I've always been a gamer, so I love it. And so like, I have a writing partner, and we're writing feature film stuff. And then like, I'm building a music recording studio in LA here.
Well, that's exciting.
Been interesting. Like I'm learning to do like building a room and like drywall and soundproofing and stuff, and it's
is this where the photos came of you with the nail gun and the roller skates?
Yeah,
those were amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It was kind of, I did it as a joke because I was like, as I was putting a nail gun in the back of my SUV and I had to move my roller skates out of the way, I was just like, my God, I'm not trying to be such a stereotypical lesbian. But it's just like, it just keeps happening. Like, some of these stereotypes are there for a reason, because it's just like, this is just my reality. So I was like, okay, let's lean in and do the gayest photo shoot we can possibly do.
Oh, it was some good pictures you got. Like,
if you're not following Isla on Twitter, you can go check out her photos in the roller skate with the nail gun. And I had responded that I was like, this feels very dangerous as somebody who's been roller skating since I was 3. Thank you very much. My parents met on roller skates.
Teach me some stuff. I've only been doing it since quarantine.
Well, the real trick is learning how to stop without the toe. You don't use the toe stop, right? Like that's like a
side slide thing.
Yeah, exactly. See, you got it already. Yeah, because like toe pick works if you're in ice skating. It doesn't work if you're roller skating.
I feel like you would just go fling forward if you tried that. Yeah,
that's like a soft break that you use, very occasionally. If it's not how you really stop, but. No, my parents met because they used to do dancing on skates. Then I started roller skating at a very young age, but then, my parents got divorced when I was 1, and I've told the story on the show of, how I have 2 moms now. But it's funny how you talk about like stereotypical lesbian stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I lived on softball fields as a kid. So
wait, your mom married a woman? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, my mom came out to me when I was 8. So
I love that. Oh my god, how did I never know this?
I don't know. I think we never talked
We didn't
about
talk
it.
much.
Honestly, I think you and I were both so focused on work that we very rarely had the opportunity to socialize like outside of work.
Yeah.
And I think that is a travesty in hindsight, and hopefully we can socialize more now that the pandemic
We'll
is
get there,
hopefully coming. We're coming out of the pandemic, maybe.
We're mid, pre, post COVID.
Yes, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
We're just, COVID all around all the time.
But
But yeah,
I
no,
did
I
not know
talk
that.
about my
That's
moms on the
fantastic.
show all the time, and thankfully a lot of people who've come to our fame events have gotten to meet them. They came to
They're
our
the best.
fan event at PAX West. Taking my moms to PAX West was a thing. Like showing them like a video game convention for the first time to be like, this is
That
what I
sounds like
do.
so much
I think
fun.
they were a little overwhelmed, but also
I
like
miss
very
them.
excited.
They were the biggest troopers though. They were just, especially Jo. I feel like she was so excited about everything, and she was trying her damnedest to understand. And I know. Oh, I miss them so much.
They're great.
Anyway.
They miss you too, Britt. You should just come. Everybody come to LA. We'll throw a big party. It'll be wonderful. But we're talking about Isla. So
Yes.
we have a
We
question
don't have
here.
to.
No, it's funny that you bring up. We talk about conventions. You also brought up MinMax. So MinMax did write in. And says, does she miss doing video tours of conventions? I just watched the E3 2015 tour and it was so much fun.
Ah, yeah. Oh, that would be a pre-Easy Allies post-Elise one, I think. Yes, I do. My cooldown is done for conventions. I'm ready to go back to conventions. I spoke at a panel on Friday. Podcast Movement Evolutions or something. I was asked by someone at Roost to come and talk on a panel, and it was really, really weird to be at a panel or a con again that wasn't a gaming con, because cons for stuff that isn't like, obviously I do podcasts as a job, but like it's always interesting to wind up at a convention that's something kind of like not directly in your passion or wheelhouse, because you're always looking around and you're just like, you feel like you're in a different universe. You're like, oh yeah, everyone's at a convention for this thing that I'm only tangentially into, you know?
But you
It's
have
like,
so much technical production knowledge. Like, I think that you are absolutely deserving in expertise in podcasts. I think you just don't think of your fandom as a podcast, right?
Well, I mean, it was funny because at the beginning of this, when you were like, give us a good rating, I was like writing that down. I'm like, we should do that. We should say that. we don't do. That's why we need a community manager, because we're just like dumb and lucky. Like we.
No, that's not true at all.
We don't do this job right at all, though. Like we're good at it, whatever, kind of, but like we're bad at it too, because we don't like ever shill or promote or. But yes, I want E3 back. I want to go to PAX. I've always been a germaphobe, like, because my dad was a doctor, and so like I just kind of like was always around hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And so like
cleanliness.
even pre-COVID, I didn't like to like touch things or be touched by people that I didn't know, you know. Yeah, so post-COVID conventions sound awful, terrifying to me, but I miss them. I miss parties.
Yeah.
I want to go dancing. I
Oh,
want to go to that party at
dancing.
GDC.
Oh.
But like everyone at GDC got COVID, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
I mean, and I got COVID at DICE, so, and I think
Yeah!
PAX is there's gonna be an outbreak at PAX too. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm so scared of that. And it's like, I guess like I'm so vaxxed, it's like not even funny, but like, I don't know. I have asthma, so maybe it would be bad. I don't know. I don't know.
You'll be okay. As somebody who was double vaxxed and boosted and also has asthma and got COVID and survived, it's
Did
possible.
you lose your sense of smell though? I'm like
Sense
a
of
super
smell,
sensor.
no.
So
I partially lost my sense of taste for like a week or so, where I would eat things. I remember getting tom yum soup because it's one of my favorite things to get when I have a cold, which is this delicious Thai soup. If you've never had tom yum soup at anyone, it's like pungent and lemongrass, and it's delicious.
That's good stuff.
And so I was like, I need something like to rock my senses, and I could just barely taste it, and I was like, no,
scary.
But it came back. Everything came back. So
okay.
But that's the beauty of vaccines, right? And the booster shot is that, you have milder symptoms, you're not as sick, and your ability to recover is much better. So hopefully, people are, doing their best to take care of themselves. But, I think as we start to try to get life back to normal and reach herd immunity, it's just, getting sick is just probably in the cards for a lot of people, and it's tough because there's a lot of people who are really susceptible to it, it's I don't want to get on like a COVID tirade. It's just it's frustrating when people don't take it as seriously 2 years into the pandemic, and we're like, oh, it's over, and it's like, yo, there's still like 1,000 people a day who are dying of COVID. Like COVID is still very serious. So it's hard.
I still wear a mask, and it's weird to me to not see people with masks on. And it's fine, do what you want to do, but that kind of stuff. It's okay, well, you're risking other people, and I know the mandates are done, so it's okay, whatever. But also selfishly, I've heard that people are kinder with assuming how pretty you are if you have a mask on. So part of me is just I joke that I wear a mask to hide my mask,
I get it.
Well, I'm always it saves me the lip color. And I don't have to wear lipstick anywhere.
I got lip injections a couple weeks ago, and I looked like I got punched in the face by the Hulk. But guess what? That mask saved my ass.
Right.
Great. No one had to know.
Oh, I mean, you meant right after you got your injections, because I was like, I don't know, you look pretty great to me, Britt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but right after, it was bad. I couldn't barely move my mouth, and I was like, oh, guess what? This isn't a problem anymore. There's the mask. Yeah, it was great.
When I go to get laser, I can't wear makeup, obviously, so I just put on a mask. No problem.
See? Listen, now we all have a convenient excuse. I don't care if it's 10 years down the road. Guess what? I got to wear my mask.
Yeah. I'll always have a mask with me, probably.
Why not? It's great. Okay, so last question from Snivy Link. Love Isla. I know it's early, but game of the year so far. It's definitely too early. We never really have game of the year so far conversations until July.
Is it though?
Yes, it's March, Isla. It's still March. We're still in Q1.
Isla's probably in that group where she's going to say Elden Ring. Hands down.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I'm one of those people, and I know you disagree, but I'm one of those people, and Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed out of this year. So it's besides God of War Ragnarok, if that hits
Starfield?
Now we're going deep.
Okay, Isla. Tell us how you really feel.
Here's the deal. Starfield will probably be fucking incredible 4 months after it comes out. I have zero faith in that game coming out and being ready to be out right away.
Right, and that was going to be my point too.
Okay.
When we do Game of the Year discussions, it's usually based off of from a technical perspective, how well does it run, blah, 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 on top of how fun it is and blah, blah. I just can't see a huge-ass Bethesda game coming out and not having any technical issues right out the gate. So I think, like Isla was saying, Starfield could be a Game of the Year with potential, but it's just out the gate, I don't know.
Yeah,
plus, it comes out
I hope
November.
we're wrong. I hope it's incredible.
I wholeheartedly disagree. Because Elder Scrolls was Game of the Year, and it was only out for a month and a half or 2 months when it came out.
I'm just going for my criteria. When it comes to from a critical perspective or a personal perspective, I can't. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole.
Well, and it's funny because it's a similar. Ironically, it's a similar situation because Skyrim came out, I think, right after Dark Souls, and Dark Souls, as I said earlier, had destroyed all other games for me because then I played Skyrim and I was like, oh, I hate this. Even though I was a fiend for Morrowind and Oblivion. I played so much of those. I loved them, right? And then I was like, Dark Souls has changed what I want from games. So I'm someone who thinks that FromSoft is so far in a way, just better at making games than everyone else, that it's like not even funny. But I acknowledge that that's just because they happen to tick all the boxes that I want ticked, and they don't tick the ones I don't want ticked. Like, I don't want to sit through a big cutscene in a dark fantasy action RPG. I don't want to have to do quick time events. I don't want to have to do combos. I don't want to have to do, I want to get the story through lore and not like prosaic dialogue, like. So these are games made for me, and it's like, that's just how it is.
No, it's fair. And that's what part of our job, right, is when it comes to voting for Game of the Year, you have your personal preference, and then you have the critical thing where you have to be like, okay, I have to try to set my personal shit aside. And that's why I think Starfield for me could be a personal GOTY, but as a critical, unless it like nails it out the gate. Anyway, I bring all this up because I tweeted out earlier, as soon as Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed, everybody was like, oh, Elden Ring, Game of the Year. And so, I felt like stirring some pots that day. So
I think if God of War Ragnarok hits this year, which I'm still skeptical, but if it does, that one's probably got a shot.
And that's what I tweeted out was, I think it was a tier. It was one of the, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a Ragnarok GIF. And then I think I got like, several hundred responses. None of them trash fire, surprisingly. Yeah, I was very surprised. And I'm just really surprised that sounds like majority of people are like, there's no way Ragnarok will win Game of the Year. There's absolutely no way. I'm like, how can you say that? Okay.
I think it'll be tricky because like they both do what they're trying to do immaculately well. Like God of War, like I mean, like Andrea, you may recall, like back at Game Trailers, I would have to cut like I had cut. I don't know if you were there at the time, but I had cut some like God of War sex game montages for GameTrailers.com, and it was like or Spike or whoever, and I was just like, to go from that to God of War, 2016, whatever, 2018?
2018.
Time, what is time? 2018,
I know.
God of War 2018, like, what a glow up, dude. What a mature up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that people forget is that God of War went head to head with Red Dead Redemption 2.
And kicked its ass.
I mean, which is one of the most technically amazing games that's ever been created. Obviously, Rockstar has an incredible pedigree. I mean, Rockstar is like Naughty Dog in the sense that, like, usually when they go up for Game of the Year, they're not fucking losing. And they did. They lost to Sony Santa Monica for God of War. And I think that both games are really phenomenal in different ways. But I've said over and over again on the show how I think God of War 2018 is a fucking masterpiece of a game.
Damn near perfect. Yeah.
I mean, really and truly. And I think the hopes are high for Ragnarok. And clearly it's not going to have the same punch because they're going to be using a lot of the same formula that was developed in God of War Ragnarok. And I think that's okay. I think it's going to be interesting to compare how the evolution is the way that Horizon Zero Dawn went to Horizon Forbidden West, because I still think my Game of the Year, without question, is Forbidden West in a number of ways. I think narratively they just do things that I prefer. I know there's a lot of gameplay elements there that people don't like Elden Ring instead, and that's okay. We can disagree on that.
It's funny because it's funny. I love how our tastes are like very different because like they sent us all copies of Horizon. And so it was pre-patched, like they hadn't made her say the thing about her stash less or whatever. I think I played it for 35 minutes and I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. I was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I can't stop and pick up these weeds and I just can't. I just can't do it, man. I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, you'll pick up all these fucking berries from now until the end of time, and you're not going to make them to feed them to Torrent. You're just going to keep them in your inventory.
You don't got to stop to pick them up, though. We're both wrong.
Yeah,
every game is bad.
All games are bad, and all games should feel terrible about themselves. No, they shouldn't. I think that's what's great about when we're in such an amazing time period like now. I think a lot of us who have worked in the industry, no, I think a lot of what I think we go back to is this is a great time to be a fan of video games, no matter what kind of video game you're a fan of. There's just so much innovation happening across the spectrum, which is wonderful. Whether you want like the pew pew fantasy bullshit of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, where you can just have a great time, or if you want to get lost in the deep dark fantasy of Elden Ring, or if you want more of like a handcrafted like hyper combat experience that Horizon Forbidden West offers you, you know, or if you want to just like test your vocabulary with Wordle, which is, I know, another thing that you're playing that, you know,
Wordle.
I honestly am surprised that Wordle is still going, because I gave up on Wordle a long time ago.
New York Times made it weird. They made it weird. It's weird now.
Yeah?
But I mean, you're so right, though. Like, it's so funny to me when people get angry when they don't like a game. I mean, like, I think I used to, you know, I would throw, like, oh, this game is trash, like, around back when I was being poisoned by certain hormones. But, like, which didn't, you know, fit for me, but whatever. Not saying they're bad for anybody else, whatever. But like now I get like, I'm like, yeah, sick. If I don't like a game, I'm like, awesome. That means that this is the perfect game for somebody else. Like, that means that somebody else is going to find their paradise in DMC or in Stranger of Paradise or, you know, whatever. Like, not everyone wants to play Outer Wilds, right? And, like, to me, I think it's perfect in every way. And I didn't love Outer Worlds, but other people love it. And it's just like, that's the tapestry of life, man. That's great. Why is that? That's not a bad thing. There should be different shit for everybody.
As Britt likes to do.
Oh, yeah. Put it up.
Preach. The preach hand.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
No, you hit the nail on the head. Like, that's what What's Good Games is all about. This idea of loving games and being passionate about what you love, and hopefully being able to share that passion in a way that's not hostile. And I think that's what I've really wanted from, you know, some of these gameplay experiences that I've been made to feel like an outsider before. And I appreciate that so much about our community. And, you know, shout out to the people, particularly one Molly Bittner, who she and I have so many different views on games, but I love how she makes such an effort to say, let me explain it to you so you maybe understand why I'm passionate. Because, like, she and I kind of went head to head in, like, how much I hated Death Stranding. And she was, like, such a fangirl for Death Stranding. And I was like, I don't get it, Molly. Why do you like this game? And she's like, let me explain it to you. And then she did. And I was like, okay.
Oh, Death Stranding, dude.
I feel like I get it now. And she's also been a big proponent for Elden Ring as well. And, you know, just want to give, you know,
Molly's been out with this lady.
No, she's great. She's been part of our community forever. And now she works at That's No Moon, that new studio I'm sure you've heard about. But she's wonderful. Also, Molly, let your wife know that I miss her. You guys need to come back over. We need to drink wine. We were just talking about you. Brittany, come. Isla, come. We can all drink wine and talk about how much we weirdly hate each other's video games together.
Oh my god.
Also, was that a freeze frame?
Funny.
Can we talk about this freeze frame that Brittany had?
Oh my god, that's perfect.
I was making a sad face because I miss Molly, and I don't think I've ever met Molly's wife, but oh yeah, I have. Absolutely have. Lovely woman. But it froze right when I was making my ugly cry face, and it was perfect. It was just absolutely
ugly.
Perfect.
It was great.
Also, we're bragging about Molly. She used to work at NASA. Let's just talk about that.
That's rad.
Oh yeah.
Death Stranding real fast is so funny that you hated it and she loved it. But like, Death Stranding was such an interesting experience because like while I was playing it, I wasn't like hating it, but I was like, man, this is not entertaining necessarily. Like this is kind of not fun, but why am I enjoying it? Kind of. And then like, I loved Death Stranding. I love it more as time goes by. Like I look back and I'm so happy I played that game. But while I was playing it, I was like, what is Kojima? You wily devil. Like this is just a weird game, man.
That's weird.
I just think how Andrea and I were hammered at her house playing it for the first time. That was an experience.
Oh, and I was just like shit talking it so bad.
I know, poor John, obviously sobered.
I
was
kept
just like,
tripping
what
over blades of grass, though. I was like walking
yeah,
through the world just tripping on nothing.
Playing that
John
game
was
drunk would
doing
be
his
an
best.
experience.
Oh my
it
goodness.
sure was. It was. I'll never forget it. For better,
Then
for
you get
worse.
the zip lines, and it's great.
I never got that far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a weird game because like, there's some of the best performances in a video game maybe I've ever seen. From like the goofiest, dumbest characters ever imagined. Like
That sounds
this
right.
dude who's got a metal face the whole game, like takes it off later and like cries, and you're just like, this is amazing. Like, what's happening right now? Like, anyway.
Yeah.
And
Spoilers,
sadly,
I
most
guess,
people
mild
never get
spoilers.
that part to that point of the game.
That's too bad.
Wah,
That's okay,
wah.
though.
Well, listen, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Isla, thank you so much for taking time out of your week to come and chat with Britt and I. And congratulations on everything with Easy Allies. Where can people keep up with you and everything that the Allies are doing?
Yeah, Easy Allies is Easy Allies on everything @/Easy Allies. EasyAllies.com, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now. I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, like Easy Allies, check it out. I'm at Isla Hinck. I have 2 hidden letters in my name. ISLAHINCK. Ludicrous Scottish and German names. Just love secret letters. But yeah, I don't know. Check it out.
No, it's great because it's interesting because my grandmother's name is Isla,
Really?
but it's a different spelling because she's
Is it
Norwegian.
ISLAY?
No, it's ILAH.
Okay.
Oh.
That actually makes sense.
It's literally Isla. Whereas I think with your spelling, I think you probably get a lot of people mispronouncing it, right?
Oh, yeah,
It's like
A lot of
Isla.
Isla. Yeah.
Yeah.
One, it's derived from the island in Scotland, which is where like some really good whiskey, like Lafroig, comes from, or Scotch, I mean. But they
Brittany's
say
like, go
IS
on.
Yeah, if you buy a bottle of Lafroig, I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't know.
No,
But,
you're saying it right.
You get a 1 square foot patch of the island of Isla. You like own it. So I like own a foot of Isla.
That's
and,
incredible.
6 feet of Isla. But like,
Andrea,
I'm
you
not
and I are about to buy this entire bitch. You do understand that?
do it.
I'm not
do
even
it.
joking.
Do it. Drink me.
Tell me I get to do like one of my favorite things in life, which is consume alcohol and like become a landowner at the same time.
Yes.
Seems like a good deal.
I was gonna go to Scotland before COVID, and then COVID, but yeah, ISLEY I think is how they spell it. So it's like Islay, ISLAY I think. Makes no sense.
Noted.
Yeah,
Language is a weird and wonderful thing.
all words are made up, as Thor or whoever says in Endgame.
It's true. You think about the word spoon too hard and it won't make sense to you.
Now I'm doing it.
Spoon. Who made up this word? Why
It's
do
kind
we
of a
say
stupid word.
it? It's super
It is.
stupid. It's dumb.
Spoon.
Now think about that, ladies and gentlemen, as you go about your day. Isla, thank you again for being on the show, and thank you to
My
everybody
pleasure.
for hanging with us through our conversation. We haven't had a long one like this in a while. We
Sorry.
appreciate everybody. No, don't be sorry
Oh, it's
at
great.
all. It's been wonderful. We look forward to seeing y'all next week, but until then, have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.